break this border into sections, and that's how I'm going to do this to contain each little bit of fullness instead of pushing it on through with the hopping I'm going to mark off. Next I'm going to take it and fold it in half so that each one of my sections will be the same. And I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to keep doing this until I've got a section about 4 inches long. That's what we got right there. Pin it back on, and what I'm going to do is on each one of the fold marks, I will mark with a chalk pencil, and that's where the beginning of this design is going to come from. Pull, tug, adjust, get the fullness evened out to some degree.
When she has the triangles, with each one absorbing a little bit of the fullness in a non-directional manner, being on an angle, then she'll work the fullness into the quilt on each of the triangles.
Now what I'm going to do is come in and do this wiggle jiggle line that goes back and forth, and as I do it I'm going to try to adjust the fullness into each one of the triangles.
See, looking down the quilt, there's still an extraordinary amount of fullness, but it got spread out into these equal triangles. There you go.
Somebody asked me the other day how I get these fairly consistent. I use the hopping foot as some sort of a guide. Want it, you know, so far away from the hopping foot, and as long as I get pretty much that. This triangle's got some fullness in it, so this is going to be one of the ones that we're going to be wiggling and jiggling and getting it to go where I want it to go.
But you can see by breaking it down into distinct non-directional segments, spreading the fullness out evenly along the edge of the quilt, and then using a linear stitch, she is getting all of that fullness without pleating, and it's doing what it's supposed to do. She'd not broken it down into segments and started quilting this edge. The fullness would have bunched, and at several points in the edge of the quilt, she would have a problem in terms of either having to pleat or just having so much fullness that she wouldn't be able to work it in. And you can see on this triangle here, tremendous amount of fullness, thanks to the loft of the batting and isolating that fullness in a very specific area. that it is laying down.
Now with the opposite triangles that we have, I'm just basically going to do another triangle within a triangle. Once again, I can manipulate the material to get it to go where I want it to go. Extra in towards the smaller triangle. Sorry, I need to see what. Pulling the material towards the center triangle again. One of my friends at the local quilt shop, one of the nasty girls, and she said these diamonds that I'm doing almost have the trapunto effect, which is what my husband also said. So it looks like it was meant to be this way. The batting that I'm using is Mountain Mist, which gives it a little bit of loft and also takes up some of the fullness that we've got going on. And like Rob said, once the binding's on, it'll have a real trapunto effect. And except for this one that we had the excessive amount of fullness, I think we got all the fullness pretty well flattened down.
And no pleats, that's the important thing.
Yeah, no pleats, no tucks.
When Lynn laid out the quilt, she did her normal, what do you call the stitch you lay across? Basting stitch. Then she segregated the quilt by doing the green border you're looking at all the way around to isolate the center from the outside. She did the rest of the inside of the quilt. And then we've got this fullness. You can see on this edge here how well she's been able to work.